In the heart of a dying empire, where marble palaces cracked and kings begged the gods for mercy, one group refused to die. They had no armies, no gold, no name written in stone. Yet when emperors fell, they survived. Hunger stalked their streets. Plague swept through their alleys. Fire consumed their homes and again, and still, they endured. How did Rome's forgotten poor, people buried under centuries of dust and silence, outlast the very empire that ruled the world? What secret did they hold that even empires couldn't? Rome, the city of gods and emperors, was rotting from within. Its marble streets shimmered in daylight, but underneath, the sewers ran black with disease. Rats moved through, tunnels like soldiers of death. The air reeked of decay and smoke. Hunger was constant, a quiet predator waiting. Behind every door, the rich fled to the countryside. The poor had nowhere to run. When famine struck, they boiled leather sandals just to stay alive. When plague arrived, they buried their own children with trembling hands. The empire's gods, Jupiter, Mars, Apollo, and offered no answer. Every fire that burned their slums was a message from fate. You were never meant to survive. And yet, they did, not through wealth, not through armies, not even through faith. Something else kept them alive. Something invisible, ancient and ingenious. A system hidden beneath their feet. A secret passed from hand to hand, generation to generation. What was this silent power that let the powerless defy death itself? For centuries, historians asked the same question. How did the poorest of Rome endure when emperors with legions at their feet vanished into dust? Archaeologists found bones in the dirt, cracked, burned, buried in layers of ash and soot, but deeper. They found something else. Narrow channels carved through forgotten neighborhoods, patterns in the stone, deliberate, mathematical, impossible for their time. A web of tunnels and ducts, built not for grandeur, but for life itself. This wasn't wealth. It wasn't luck. It was design, born from desperation, mastered through generations. When the city above collapsed, these networks below kept its people breathing. Each droplet told a story of survival, a system so advanced that even modern engineers paused to understand it. Could this be the secret that shielded them from famine and plague? Or was it something deeper, a philosophy, a way of life built on balance, not power? Whatever it was, it didn't just keep them alive. It redefined what survival meant, and its traces are still beneath our feet, waiting to tell the story Rome forgot. Beneath the chaos of ancient Rome, a labyrinth slept, unseen, untouched, almost forgotten. Until now. Archaeologists digging near the Aventine Hill uncovered narrow stone corridors, carved with precision centuries before modern tools existed. Inside, they found something extraordinary, channels that once carried not sewage, but heat-embedded pipes, ash ducts, and hollow floors, fragments of a lost engineering system known today as the Hypocaust. It was Rome's silent heartbeat, a thermal network that could warm entire rooms, purify air, and destroy disease before it spread. The rich built grand versions in their villas, but the poor, they copied the design with clay, stone, and fire, crafting microsystems beneath the earth, simple enough to build, brilliant enough to last. These underground veins carried warmth through freezing winters, kept water flowing when rivers froze, and even sterilized food when famine struck. Layer by layer, scientists traced the patterns, every chamber connected like organs in a living body. Rome's poor had turned survival into architecture, not by accident, not by miracle, but through understanding, the raw, instinctive science of life itself. In their struggle for warmth, they engineered a system that outlived kings, armies, and time itself. Imagine standing inside a small Roman hut on a night of frost. The wind howls outside, the Tiber frozen, the city silent. Yet beneath the floor, warmth moves like breath through a body. Clay pillars hold the ground above an empty space, a chamber built not for beauty, but for survival. In one corner, a small furnace burns. Wood, straw, even animal waste, anything that could feed the flame. The heat travels through those hollow spaces, slipping under walls, circling rooms. until every stone, every brick begins to glow from within. Above, small vents release the heat, not too fast, not too slow. The flow is balanced, controlled, like lungs inhaling and exhaling. Smoke drifts through side tunnels, filtered by ash and clay, a primitive purification. The toxic air escapes through cracks in the roof, leaving behind warmth and clean space for breath. This was their genius, a design so efficient, it demanded no machines, no wealth, no gods. They turned earth and fire into medicine. In the midst of famine, warmth meant life. In the age of plague, clean air meant survival. And the poor, those written out of history, had mastered it centuries before modern sanitation existed. Their system was more than heat. It was balance. Too much fire, and walls collapsed. Too little, and death crept in. They learned equilibrium, the art of survival written in clay. A civilization within a civilization, one that learned to live, not conquer. Today we build cities of glass and power, towers that scrape the clouds, systems wired with sensors, circuits, algorithms. We call it progress, but strip away the chrome and light. And the question remains the same as it was 2,000 years ago. How do we survive the world we've built? The poor of Rome answered with dirt and fire. They built warmth with hands, not machines. They designed systems that healed instead of consumed. Their hypocausts ran without metal or code, only gravity, heat, and patience. And while their empire fell under its own weight, their designs kept working, quietly, humbly, long after the marble crumbled above them. We build skyscrapers that die when power fails. They built mud walls that breathed. We spend billions to rediscover what they already knew, that survival is not about domination, it's about adaptation. Their intelligence was not digital, it was elemental. It lived in soil, fire, water, and breath. Every flicker of their fire was a calculation, every vent a decision, every brick a code, written in heat instead of numbers. The Romans recorded history in marble. The poor recorded wisdom in survival. And as our world grows louder, faster, colder, their silence speaks louder than our progress. Survival was never just about fire or stone. It was about people. In the cramped alleys and crowded huts, the poor of Rome formed invisible networks, families, neighbors, strangers, and all bound by necessity, trust and instinct. They shared warmth, food, knowledge. When plague struck, they didn't flee. They organized. Information flowed quietly through whispered corridors. Techniques for filtering water, building vents, and maintaining fire passed hand to hand. Every action was deliberate, every shared secret a lifeline. Leaders were not kings, they were skilled elders, teachers of survival, guardians of knowledge, decisions, where communal resources rotated like clockwork. Skills multiplied because everyone contributed. A silent orchestra of survival. Their culture was resilience, engineered into behavior. And their greatest innovation? They transformed desperation into strategy. The poor became architects of endurance, and not by command, but by cooperation. When famine, fire, or disease threatened, the network flexed. No one was left behind. Contrast that with the empire above, wealth concentrated in palaces, power in distant senators blind to the suffering below. The rich built monuments to themselves. The poor built monuments to life, and in those narrow alleys and hidden chambers, their strategy became timeless, an ancient blueprint for surviving not just Rome, but any world that dares to crush its weakest first. 2,000 years have passed. Marble empires have crumbled. Streets of Rome are silent beneath tourists' feet. Yet the lessons of the poor still speak, whispering through stone, fire, and clay. Today, we face storms of a different kind. Pandemics, climate crises, urban chaos, challenges no emperor can command away. And here in the shadows of history lies guidance. A blueprint for survival not written in wealth or power, but in knowledge, adaptability, and cooperation. Their tunnels taught us foresight. Their hypocausts taught us ingenuity. Their communal strategies taught us resilience. Every disaster today, natural, political, economic, echoes the dangers they faced. The poor of Rome endured not because they were stronger, but because they understood the world and their place in it. Modern systems are vast, but often fragile. Technology is brilliant yet mortal. The ancient poor were modest, yet their designs lasted centuries. Their survival was intentional, collective, and ingenious. A reminder that life thrives where knowledge and collaboration reign. And if we listen carefully, beneath our cities, beneath our routines, we may find that the wisdom of the forgotten is more relevant than ever. The poor did not wait for the world to save them. They built their own, and that, in any age, is the most powerful lesson of all. Rome forgot their names, history ignored them, yet they endured. Not because of power, not because of gold, but because they refused to surrender to the world's cruelty. Their story whispers to us across centuries. Survival is an art. Life is a design. Strength is measured not by domination, but by resilience, wisdom, and cooperation. Imagine living in a world where every day could be your last, and still, you find a way. You build, you plan, you survive, you thrive. That is the legacy of Rome's forgotten poor. Now ask yourself, what systems do we rely on today? Are we building survival or just surviving? Share your thoughts below. Which ancient wisdom can we carry into our lives now? Their tunnels still breathe beneath our streets. Their fires still warm our imagination, and their courage still challenges us. The poor of Rome survived empires, and perhaps, so can we.